Hola, ¿qué tal, amigos de Minnesota Latin Radio? Les damos la bienvenida a Enterate Minnesota. Y hoy quiero agradecer primero que nada a nuestros sponsors, Tequila Town, que es la comida mexicana, y lo pueden encontrar en @Tequila Town. Su número de teléfono es 952-660-5658. También agradecemos al abogado de inmigración Santiago Legal, que lo encontramos en el número de teléfono 612-778-4593 y lo encontramos en sus redes sociales @Santiago Legal. Sigan a Minnesota Latin Radio y recuerden también, si quieren contactar a nuestro invitado, su nombre es Eric Pratt y su social media es @EricPrattMN. Gracias. Ahora sí. Well, I want to introduce tonight my guest, and is the Senator of Prior Lake, Eric Pratt. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. I know you are super busy, and thank you for making time to come and visit us in Minnesota Latin Radio and Connections Minnesota.
Well,
So, first of all, we like people to know who is Eric Pratt for all the Latino community in Minnesota.
Who is Eric Pratt? Eric Pratt is a kid that grew up in Prior Lake, Minnesota. Went on to play football at the University of Colorado. My wife and I have been married 35 years. We have 2 children, and both are out of the house and employed, so we're empty nesters.
Oh, wow. So young.
My background is in banking and finance. I had a 30-year career in banking and financial services where I did all sorts of jobs, risk management. I ran fraud prevention, mergers and acquisitions. I just did everything. I managed an $8 billion portfolio.
Oh, wow.
I was senior vice president at U.S. Bank, had an $8 billion credit card and debit card portfolio that I managed. So,
that's impressive.
Thank you. I had a good career. I served on the school board in Prior Lake for 12 years. And, we were able to fix a lot of problems. When I ran for the school board, we had $1 million debt. Test scores were flat. When I left, we had a $3 million surplus. Test scores were on the rise. And we were able to cut property taxes for our residents. So it was very good.
And I know this for a fact because actually I see the numbers, and you as a conservative actually have more approval than anybody else as a senator of your state.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
You do, and it's very impressive.
I try to focus on the needs that really impact most Minnesotans, right?
Exactly.
What are the things that really come to mind? And that's helping them. They want their kids to have a great education. They want to have, good paying jobs. And in a lot of cases, they just want to be left alone to live their lives. And that's what I've tried to focus on. I chaired the education committee for a while. I chaired the jobs committee. I'm currently the Republican lead on finance. So most of my time has been kind of delving into the numbers of things.
So you're very good with that.
As a banker, you have to be good with numbers. So.
Absolutely. So what it makes you now, you've been very successful as a senator. What made you decide to run for Congress?
When I was thinking of running for the Senate, one of my old bosses called me into his office and he said, bankers are problem solvers and we need more problem solvers in government.
Yes.
You should do this.
Absolutely.
And I thought back to why I got on the school board, why I ran for the Senate, is that, and if you look at my history in the Minnesota Senate, being able to pass bills, even when I was in the minority, being able to work across party lines, being able to function in a large organization, kind of like a large corporation.
Exactly.
It's not much different in a lot of ways. And so I was able to use those skills to get things done to both help my community, but also help the state.
Exactly. And you district very purpose. I mean, you have mixed both sides.
Yeah.
And you was able to work with all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what you will say are the priorities if you win which I hope you do, and I want you to do, and you have my full endorse and support for all the Latino community out there. If you want my recommendation, please vote for him. What will be your priorities?
I would go back to my banking side, and to say that fraud is still one of the top issues that I hear when I'm out talking to people. They're upset by the amount of fraud that's happened here in the state. And I have a background in fraud, preventing people from becoming victims of identity theft and seeing how fraud schemes run. I know that the best way to stop fraud is to prevent it. You're never going to catch it entirely on the back end. And so one of the first questions I had when all of the fraud stories broke loose was, who at the federal government was looking at this?
Right.
Who was saying, why are Minnesota's expenses going up 200% year over year? We ought to take a look at that. And so I'd like to start a department, much like the Congressional Budget Office, but to look at fraud and waste and abuse, right?
Exactly.
And to make sure that we're using taxpayer dollars in a very responsible way.
Exactly. And literally in Minnesota, we are facing fraud in many areas, to be
Right.
fair, right? Not only Medicare, Medicaid, all kind of school system, probably voting as well. So who knows, right? You think, what will be your practice to achieve in all areas? How will you do that?
It's really trying to build relationships and partnerships along the way.
Right.
If you've ever gone to Target and you swiped your driver's license,
Mm-hmm.
that was my project. That was an
Oh.
idea that I came up with, and it took me 4 years to get it done.
Oh, okay.
But I believed in it, so I was persistent. But I had to be patient, and I built partnerships along the way. We started off on the credit side of the business. Then we got into check cashing. We started looking at it for age-restricted products. Then we got into all different things. Finally, it was pseudoephedrine that kind of in the pharmacy area that put us over the top. But building those coalitions, building those partnerships along the way is how I get things done.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Tell me a little bit about what do you think about education? You have experience doing that. How would you help Minnesota to improve the quality of education for our children?
Yeah. Education is predominantly here at the state level.
Right.
And, it's kind of sad to see our test scores dropping and our graduation rates going up under Tim Walz. It's almost like we've devalued we've made a high school diploma less valuable than it was in the past.
Exactly.
But we can turn that around. Certainly things like special education are important, and we are putting a lot of pressure on our school districts to fund special education. But when I think of my role as a school board member, it was up to me to make sure my kids were getting the education that they needed, that was effective. And at the state, I've tried to say we need to quit micromanaging local school districts and let them be successful on their own.
Right.
And at the federal level, I would say the same thing. We need to take off some of the mandates. We need to take off some of the restrictions that we have, and let's let local communities figure that out. There are certain things. My mom was a sixth grade school teacher for 40 years.
Oh, really? Wow.
And so education was always important to us. She didn't like the reading curriculum that she was being forced to teach. And she brought my kids hooked on phonics so that they learned how to read the way that she liked to teach it, not the whole word methodology. So we're getting better and better at that. But we need to take the politics out of education and really focus on what our students need. And that's the ability to succeed in the classroom,
Right.
great teachers, stable funding, and community and parent support.
That's absolutely right. Besides education and the fraud, is anything else that you think we need to focus? Because we have a lot of work in Minnesota, obviously. But you and Congress, what will be besides that another thing?
Yeah, border security was a big issue.
Yes, let's talk about it, especially because the Latino community, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And so border security was a major issue in the 2024 election.
100%.
We've now secured our border, and we've always said once we have our border secure, we should take on immigration reform. And so I'd like to be a part of that conversation as well, because uh, we do need immigration, and we do need um, workers coming into the state and the country to take on a lot of the jobs.
100%.
And so trying to figure out a way to um, and we have so many mixed families.
Yes, yes.
Where maybe someone was here undocumented, but they have children that were born here. And as a conservative, I don't want to break up families.
Exactly.
So I want to find a way to maybe provide some uh, what my what one of my friends' mom used to say: "Forgive, but don't forget."
Right.
And to forgive, maybe to forgive the illegal crossing, but to find a way to allow them to be a permanent resident and be able to work and raise their family here.
I think immigration always been so complicated because obviously come the compassion for people who come to work, but also it's important to recognize that not all immigrants come to work. Some come to just abuse the system.
Right.
No, it's a reality. So I think it's good to recognize that some immigrants, regardless how they get here, like say they cross probably illegally or but they are here with the good intentions. They've been working for years. They've been paying taxes. They've been behaving good, and they deserve an opportunity to stay because they are already part of the workforce. But also, I want to, support the if people come here and causing conflicts and problems and abusing the system, they should be deported.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think it's very, but for some reason, when we generalize immigration, it can be feeling like very uh, polarized, right? But the truth is, we need immigration. We need as part of the workforce and integrate our society. But at the same token, we need to be strong for people who don't follow or don't integrate in the United States of America.
Right.
Right. So we want to. This is law and order, and we want a country who's been successful because the law and order. So, yeah. But thank you for that, because I know a lot of the Latino community who work in the, construction. So, you know, dairy, whatever area, they are very scared, right, to lose the jobs or to be deported, especially when they have children who probably are here, and many of them are serving in the military. So I'm so glad you are aware of some special circumstances.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that as community. Is there anything else that you think in Minnesota we need to create more awareness, or in the country altogether?
I think, as we look at our national security, as we look, we've talked about strong families, strong communities, and, being together. And one of the things is I want to try to bring our communities back together, right?
Yes. Unity. Bring unity.
Yes.
Again. Yeah.
We're not going to agree on every issue, but that doesn't mean we can't be respectful to each other. I want to be a congressman that is not only respected, but is respectful to others as well. And I do these coffees called Chat with Pratt.
Yes.
And I had one lady come up to me and she said, Mr. Pratt, I disagree with you, but you're a pretty reasonable guy. And so we've gone through a number of these Chat with Pratts together where we have great conversations. We maybe don't agree at the end of the day, but we have great, thoughtful conversations. And she gives me something to think about. She walks away with something to consider too. So that's the way it should work, and that's how I've always tried to work myself.
And we really appreciate that about you. You are very reachable. I've been in several events where I met you and I see you and I get to talk to you, and I see a lot of people, making a line and try to talk to you. So I think you are very good listener, and you really mean to serve the people and not your own interest. I saw like the coffees. I saw in your Facebook always
Mhm.
announcing. What is the next one? So if people wanna attend,
So we typically have them on Thursdays.
okay,
One in the morning at a coffee shop, and a lot of times one in the evening at a restaurant for like happy hour or something like that. And we try to promote local businesses as well. So that's why we move them around. Um,
okay,
and it just becomes a really informal way to have a conversation.
absolutely, and it's more comfortable too, right?
Yeah.
It feels more comfortable. Um, Tell me a little bit. What will be something that make you to the people, right? Like why they should choose you instead to the opponents.
I'm really focused on bringing common sense over chaos. I
Okay.
lost my dad last year, and one
I'm
of his
sorry.
favorite sayings was, "You'd think common sense would be more common." And what we're seeing in our politics is that common sense isn't really all that common.
No.
We get into these deep agendas, we get into pushing this or pushing that, and we kind of lose sight of the big picture. Um, One of the reasons I'm in this, one of the things I want to do is I want to try to bring common sense back. Um, we had the trifecta here just a couple of years ago.
Ugh, that was a disaster.
It was a disaster because we changed so much so quickly. Um, I learned in business that change needs to be managed, right? You call it change management for a reason. It needs to be managed, and you need to work hard at implementing and incorporating change, little bit by little bit. Um, One of my dad's other favorite sayings is every bucket of water starts with a drop. So,
Exactly.
I don't need to start with a full bucket of water. I'll take it drop by drop by drop so that it becomes manageable along the way.
Yeah.
And we didn't do that. And now we've got chaos here in the state.
Absolutely. And I think if most people, I love what you're doing with the coffees because if you really have a conversation, most people we agree on the same thing. We
Mhm.
want to secure communities, right? We want police. We want a good education. We want a good, opportunity for work and provide for our families.
Mhm.
It's like so common sense. Like we all want that. Um, and that takes me to ask you, like these radical ideas, the transgender, the little kids, right?
Mhm.
Or but men's and women's sports. It's kind of like, no, if you ask most people will agree, nothing against to the transgender community. It's just, no, it's not common sense, right? It's not
Exactly.
common sense. It's like, let's wait the kid grow a little bit before decide, make such a big decision. Or have a voter ID to,
Mhm.
show your ID before you go to vote. It's so common sense. I don't think that should be a issue.
And most Minnesotans agree with both of those, right?
Exactly. Most Minnesotans agree with that.
Most Minnesotans understand, biology is science, and there's a difference between males and females. And
Exactly.
as a former athlete, I played football in college, but also as the father of a daughter who played sports, right?
Exactly.
I understand the physiological differences, and I wouldn't want my daughter to get hurt. It's not fair for her to have to compete against
Again, some
some of these kids, right?
exactly.
And I want her to learn the same lessons of life and sports that I learned that helped make me who I am today. And with voter ID, I've co-sponsored the bill for voter ID.
Mm-hmm.
I need a driver's license to open a bank account. I need a driver's license to cash a check. In many cases, I need a driver's license to go see my elected official if they're in
Exactly.
Washington.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, I should have to be able to prove I am who I am because fraud and technology have gotten so good. We can't run things like we did 50 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, what you will say to the people if they want to support you? What is the next steps? We come in the primaries. You don't have an opponent for primary, do you?
Right. No, I
Right.
don't.
So you are like, yeah, you go a straight line. But if you want to give a message to the Latino community in Minnesota, go ahead.
Yeah, well, thank you. I hope you like my approach. I hope you like the way I think. I'm about getting things done. I'm about what can we do, and I would love to have the Latino community support. Uh, You can follow me on ericprattmn.com, on Facebook at Eric Pratt for Minnesota, which is also Eric Pratt MN, X, Instagram. We have a YouTube page that's all Eric Pratt MN. So it's easy to find. It's easy to do. Certainly, we're looking for donations. If you can afford a few dollars, they would help us reach voters in the 2nd District. But we're also looking for volunteers to walk in parades, volunteers to make phone calls, to knock on doors. We're going to have a lot to do this session, or even lawn signs.
Exactly.
We're certainly looking for those types of opportunities, and you can sign up for those on the website. If you want to take our state back, if you want our country to be one that's back to common sense, then I think I'm your candidate, and I hope I get your support.
Absolutely. And just to confirm what you say, the Latino community altogether as a majority is more conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Our values are very Christian, very family oriented, more traditional.
Yep.
So for us, it fits to have a candidate like you. And like I say, I know you, I've been following you for a while, and I definitely have all my support. If somebody asks me, like, what do you think? I say, go for it. Vote for Eric Pratt. Thank you so much for coming today. I hope you can come back again.
Oh, anytime. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. I keep following you to see what are you doing. Thank you so much for listening us tonight, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.